Alright, welcome everybody to the full walkthrough of the March 2021 SAT No Calculator section. Let's go. Function h is defined by h of x equals negative 1/4 x minus 2. What is the graph of h of x? So we know that it has a y-intercept of negative 2, right? So a and b are for sure out, but we're still stuck between c and d because they both intercept the y-axis at negative 2. So to differentiate between which of these has a negative 1/4 slope, we need to remember that slope is just rise over run. So if I draw a little triangle here, slope triangle, we get a rise of negative 1 and a run of 4, meaning that our answer is going to be choice D. Alright, number 2. What is the positive solution of the given equation? Okay, so our positive solution is going to make the equation true. So if we plug in 9 for x, we get 9 squared plus 10, which is 81 plus 10, plus 10 equal 91, and that is true, so the answer is going to be A. What value of x satisfies the given equation? I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So x plus 7 equals 3x minus 9. Add 9 equals 3x. I'm going to get 2x equals 16. Divide by 2 on both sides. So I get 8 equals x, or option B. Number 4. A line in the xy plane has a slope of 1 and passes through the point 0, 2. What is an equation of the line? Okay, so we know our y-intercept is 2 and our slope is 1. So in y equals mx plus b, m is our slope, and b is our y-intercept, right? So if we have a slope of 1, our equation is going to look like y equals 1x plus, and then a y-intercept of 2. And 1 times x is just the same as x, so we get y equals x plus 2, or option C. From 1990 to 2001, German currency included coins called Pfennigs, worth 1 Pfennig each, and Groschen, worth 10 Pfennigs each. Which equation represents the number of Pfennig coins P and Groschen coins G that have a combined value of 85 Pfennigs? Alright. So we know that Groschen are worth 10 Pfennigs each. So for every 1 Groschen we have, we need to multiply that by 10 to get the corresponding value of Pfennigs, right? So if we have 2 Groschen, we are going to get 20 Pfennigs, and so on and so on. So it can't be A, right? Because we know we need to multiply the number of Groschen by 10. It can be B, because we're doing that. We're multiplying the number of Groschen by 10 in B. We're not doing that in C. And in D, we're multiplying both P and G by 10, which is not what we want, because we don't want 10 times the number of Pfennigs. Pfennigs is just 1 Pfennig is 1 Pfennig. They tell us that, see? So the answer is going to be option B. Let's move on to number 6. Which of the following is equivalent? Okay, so I'm going to multiply this side of the equation by x over x and this side by 2x over 2x to get a common denominator. So I get 2x over 2x squared plus x over 2x squared. Adding these fractions, we get 3x over 2x squared. Cancel one of the x's, so we get 3 over 2x, or option C. Number 7. The graph in the xy plane of the equation above is a circle. What are the coordinates of the center of the circle? Okay. When you're given an equation of a circle in standard form like this, what you're going to have to do is you are going to have to take the coefficient of the x and y terms, divide them by 2, and flip the sign. So in this case, we're going to divide by 2. So we get negative 5, 3, but we need to flip the sign. So we get 5, negative 3 as our final answer, option C. Number 8. When graphed in the xy plane, the point xy is a solution to the given system of equalities. Okay, so I'm going ahead and plug in each of these points and see which one holds true when plugged into this system of inequalities. So if we plug in 1, so we get 1 is greater than 4. Not true, so it can't be A. Let's try negative 2. Negative 2 is greater than negative 8. That's true. Negative 2 is less than 2. Correct, so it's B. Number 9, the equation h equals 150 plus 10t gives the total number of housing units. How many housing units are added to the community each month? Okay, so for this problem, we need to remember that our slope is going to be change in y over change in x, but in this case, we don't have y and x, we have h and t. So change in h over change in t is going to be our slope. And remember, the slope is the coefficient of the t term, meaning our slope is 10, or 10 over 1. So for each month, t months, right, we get 10 extra housing units, because then we can do 20 over 2. If we add another month, we get 10 extra. So the answer is going to be A. Which expression is equivalent to all this? Okay, I'm going to distribute this negative to each term inside of the parentheses, so I get 2x squared. Oops, let me clean that up a little. 2x squared plus 3x oops, sorry about that. 3x minus 2 minus 5x squared plus x plus 7. Combine like terms, so we get negative 3x squared plus 4x plus 5, and that is going to be option B. Oops, that is going to be option D. Apologies. Alright. The graph in the xy plane of the equation above contains the point AB. If A is between negative 1 and 1, which of the following is not a possible value of B? Okay, so if I go ahead and plug in 1 into this equation, we're going to get 1 minus 1 here, and then we're going to get 1 plus 1, and then we're going to get 1 plus 2. So that's going to be 0 times 2 times 3, right? But 0 times 2 times 3 is just 0, meaning it can't be C, because we can get a value of 0 if we plug in 1. Now, if we plug in negative 1, the same thing's going to happen here. We're going to get 0. So we know the answer cannot be C for sure. Now, whatever number we plug in between negative 1 and 1, you'll notice that we cannot end up with a positive value. Watch, let's plug in let's plug in 1/2. So if we do 1/2, 1/2 minus 1 is going to be a negative number, 1/2 plus 1 is going to be a positive number, and 1/2 plus 2 is going to be a positive number. So our answer is going to be negative, meaning that our value of B can never be positive. It'll always either be 0 or negative. So the answer is going to be D. Alright, number 12. 2 beach balls are each in the shape of a sphere, and the larger beach ball has a diameter of 3x and smaller. Okay, what is the ratio of the volume of the larger to the smaller? Okay, remember that the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. In this case, the volume of the smaller beach ball is going to be 4/3 pi. And remember, we're given the diameter, not the radius. And the radius is half the diameter. So if we do 3x divided by 2, that's going to be our radius. So we can cube that. And then the volume of the larger beach ball is going to be, oops, this is the smaller one. The larger beach ball is going to be 4/3 pi, and then this is going to be 3x over 2 cubed. Alright, now if we expand each of these a little bit more, we get 4/3 pi times 27x cubed over 8. And for this smaller one, we get 4/3 pi x cubed over 8. Okay, I'm going to bring the 27 and the 1/8 to the front of the larger one and the 1/8 to the front of the smaller one. So for the smaller beach ball, we get 4/3 times 1/8 and 1/8 times x to the third times pi. And then for the larger beach ball, I'm going to get 27 times 1/8 times 4/3 times x cubed times pi. Now we see that these two are the same here, but the larger beach ball has a 27 on the outside, meaning that the ratio from larger to the smaller is going to be 27 to 1, because there's an imaginary 1 in front of this 1/8. Answer is going to be D. What is the graph of the equation y equals 2 times 3 to the x power? Okay. First, I'm going to go ahead and find the y-intercept, and you need to remember that the y-intercept occurs when x is 0. So if we plug in 0 for x, we get 2 times 3 to the 0. Anything to the 0th power is 1, so we get 6. Oops, we get 2. My bad, because 2 times 1, right? So the answer cannot be B, because the y-intercept here is 1. And it cannot be C, because the y-intercept here is 3. So it's going to be between D and A. Now I'm going to plug in 1 for x to see what I get. So y equals 2 times 3 to the first power, and I'm going to get y equals 6. So we know that when I plug in 1 for x, y is going to be 6, which is true for A, so the answer is going to be A, but it's not true for B. See, we get 4 here, or for D, so this is out. 14. The graph of the function f is shown. Which of the following is the value of x for which f of x is 0? Remember, f of x is another way of saying y. So when is our y value 0? Here, here, and here. Which means that f of x is 0 at -2, 1, and whatever point this is in between here. And it's going to be C because it is 0 at x equals 1. Alright, number 15. The function a of t equals 12 times 2 to the t over 6 power models the number of water in a population over time, where a of t is the number of water and t is the time in days since the population was first measured. What is the best interpretation of this in this context? Okay. The answer here is going to be B, right? And we know this because, watch this. So if we know a of t is equal to 12 times 2 to the t over 6, right? Let's say we start with 6 days. Or not, we don't start with 6 days, but we're 6 days into the experiment, let's say. So we get 12 times 2, 6 over 6, right? Which is just going to be 1. So we get 24. Now let's go another 6 days further. So now we're at 12 days total, right? 12 times 2 times 12 over 6. And then 12 over 6 is 2. 2 squared. That's going to be 48, right? So we see that every 6 days, the population of water hyacinths is going to double. And that's what we said here. The number doubles every 6 days. Cool. All right. The given equation can be written as t equals AD plus BH, where A and D are constants. What is the value of A? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add over the 8D. So we get 4t equals 8D plus 12H. Then I'm going to go ahead and divide by 4, right, to get rid of this t coefficient, because they have no t coefficient there. So I get t equals 2D plus 6H, and they, oops, not 6H, 3H. And they want the coefficient of D, which in this case is just 2. Alright, in the figure shown, BC is parallel to AD and AB equals CD. What is the perimeter of quadrilateral ABCD? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and split up this shape into a few smaller shapes, just to make it easier. So we know this whole side is going to be 26, right? And we know this whole side is 10, meaning that this little length here and this little length here have to be 16. So because these are the same length, they have to be 8 each if the whole thing equals, if this whole thing is going to equal 16. And then I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find this side, which is going to be 10 and 10. So across these three sides, I get a total of 30. And then for this side down here, I get a total of 26, right? So 26 plus 30 is going to be 56. Because remember, these 8s are still a part of this 26, but I just split them up into smaller subsections. All right. The equation above has solutions x equals n plus root k and x equals n minus root k, where n and k are positive integers. What is the value of n plus k? Okay. I see a quadratic and I see square roots. I'm going to go ahead and use the quadratic formula, which is negative b plus or minus the square root of 4ac, of b squared, my bad, minus 4ac all over 2a. In this case, we get 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 times negative 1. And then this is all going to be over 2. So we get 2 plus or minus the square root of 8 all over 2. And remember, the square root of 8 can be rewritten as the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. The square root of 4 becomes 2. So then we get 2 plus or minus 2 times root 2 over 2. If we divide everything by 2, cancel, cancel, cancel. So we get 1 plus or minus the square root of 2. And they want the term on the outside plus the term in the root, right? Term on the outside plus the term in the root. That's going to be 1 plus 2, which is 3. xy is a solution to the given system of equations. What is the value of x? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and multiply this side by 7 so I can use elimination. So I'm going to get 28x plus 7y equals 49. 2x minus 7y equals 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and add down, eliminate. These are going to cancel, so I get 30x equals 50. Divide by 30. X is going to equal 5 over 3. That's going to be our answer. In the given equation, k is a constant. The equation has no solution. What is the value of k? Okay, remember that in a linear system, when we have a solution, that just means that the lines are going to intersect at some point, right? Now, if lines have no solution, that means that they're never going to intersect, or in other words, it means that they're parallel. They're going to look a little bit like this, which means they have the same slope. So if we know that these two lines have to have the same slope, and y equals mx plus b, m is the slope, in this case they're using k is the slope, we know the slopes have to be the same. That means 1/2 has to equal k. So your answer is going to be 1/2. And that's it for the no calculator section.